If you're a direct-to-consumer brand that wants to grow their retail distribution and get stocked by multiple retailers, here's how to get 10 to 20 orders or sample requests every week quickly, cost-effectively, and without having to pay platforms like Faire, Mable, a 15% fees on all new orders, and without having a large sales team. By the way, my name is Atishay Jain. I'm the founder of Hyperke. We've helped our clients generate over $29.4 million in pipeline, close to $9 million in revenue. And in this video, I'm going to give you the exact playbook that we use to help e-commerce brands like yours get into stores, into retail brick and mortar shops. So without further ado, let's dive in. Now, who is this for? If you are owner of a D2C brand or one of the partners or a director, or if you are responsible for growing the retail side of the brand, this is for you. You need to be already established. You need to already have revenue. You should ideally have some kind of sales coming through Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, BigCommerce, whatever platforms you use. You should already have some proof of concept, some online sales coming through, and you should be able to handle more orders. And obviously you should want to be growing your retail presence. So if you meet these criteria and you're trying to grow your retail presence, you're probably doing some of these things. Maybe you're using platforms like Faire, Mable, and others like that, and you're paying them 10 to 20% actually every time someone orders, and you're losing that straight from your profit margins because that's pure profit going out of your pockets. Or maybe you have your team or yourself attending trade shows and networking and using that to build relationships with retailers. Maybe you're relying on random inquiries that come through your website. Also, you probably want to build and own your retailer relationships instead of letting platforms like Faire own that relationship for you and charge you a fees anytime a customer orders. Similarly, you probably also want to grow nationwide instead of only being able to grow in states or cities where your sales reps are physically present. And you want to do this without killing your margins, because when you go retail, you're obviously still sharing your margins, a part of your margins with retailers. You don't want to additionally decrease your margins. Only enterprise relationships is not going to cut it because they require you to shrink your margins quite a bit. By the way, just to be clear, I'm not saying that enterprise relationships and trying to get your products to Walmart, 7-Elevens does not have merit. It most certainly does, and you should definitely be trying to do that. But the approach to doing that is different. That is what your sales team should be focused on, helping you get into Walmart, Target, 7-Eleven, some of these larger nationwide chains. That is what your sales team should be focusing on instead of spending their time trying to get into smaller retailers. Now, here's the thing. You don't just want to get into these enterprise. You probably want to grow nationwide without hiring multiple salespeople in every territory. And you also want to keep your margins as healthy as possible. Now, here's how you do it. First is you want to focus on both enterprise sales as well as getting your products stocked in small mom and pop shops. To get into Walmart, Whole Foods, Target, Kroger's, and some of these other nationwide chains, you need to have salespeople building relationships on the ground. And you need to spend several months or years working with these companies to prove demand and to then get your products on their shelves. But the mom and pops are much easier, and your product already being with mom and pops allows you to get a quicker entry into Walmart. So this 4-step process that I'm going to describe to you now is going to help you acquire retailer relationships with mom and pops, brick and mortars, chains that are local to a state or a store or to a city, multi-location stores, anything and everything that's not a store with hundreds of locations. That's not Walmart, basically. So there's 4 steps to the process. Step number 1 is you need to build a database, and you need to really spend your time finding contact details. So don't just go to Zoom Info or LinkedIn Sales Navigator and try to export all the retailers that you could find, because I promise you that list is incomplete. Instead, you want to be looking for businesses on Google Maps. You want to be looking for specific niche specific directories. You want to be looking for store locators and finding email addresses and phone numbers using the store locators. Once you have that database, and you need to be doing this for your category, for stores that you want your products to be in. Step number 2 is you want to reach out to them with personalized messages. This is important because if you send a generic message, there is very little incentive for them to respond to you, and your emails are going to fall flat. So you want to personalize your message by referencing something about them, their product line, maybe other retailers similar to those that you're already being stocked at, or maybe you drop a benefit of stocking your product. then you need to do it at scale, because at the end of the day, any kind of outreach or sales effort is a numbers game, right? And we worked with businesses that had their sales teams sending 50, 100 emails per rep per day. And while this can get you results, it won't get you the kinds of results that this system promises. For our clients, this system generates between 10 to 30 sample requests and orders every week, right? So to be able to get that kind of volume, you need to be doing this at scale, which means you need the infrastructure to be able to contact 10,000 to 100,000 people every month, depending on the size of your market, and getting responses from them. And finally, when people do respond, they'll ask you for catalogs, they'll ask you for line sheets, for samples, questions around shipping, and sometimes they'll just place orders. So you need to be able to handle all of those orders, and you need to have a fulfillment system in place to be able to ship those quickly and to follow up with those customers so that they keep placing more orders with you. And this is critical. Like, you don't just stop at step 4. You want to make sure your team follows up with those customers and keeps getting recurring revenue from each new customer relationship. So that's the process on a high level. Now, here's exactly what this looks like in action, right? So I told you need to be tapping into hidden data sources. This is what I'm talking about. Don't just limit yourself to Apollo Zoom Info Sales Navigator. Instead, go to local business listings on Google Maps and Yelp, right? Search for, if you're, let's say you're a food and beverage brand, search for, and you want your products, you're selling cookies or confectionery items. Search for coffee shops and in all the major cities that you want your products to be in. Coffee shops in New York, coffee shops in Vegas, coffee shops in San Francisco. Search for, local business listings on Google Maps and Yelp. Find these and put these in your databases. Then, so look for event attendees and trade show participants, right? Stores, people that are attending events, get those lists, acquire those lists, and reach out to them. Again, these events have to be industry specific. So if you're in the food and beverage category or in the CPG category, you need to be reaching out to people that attend events organized for those industries. Niche directories. Here we're talking about directories that list traders and merchants that fall within certain categories. Again, the examples here would really depend on what category you fall into, but if you're watching this, you probably know what directories I'm referring to for your own categories. And finally, look at the store locator pages for retail chains. So this is where you find the real gold, because these stores are large enough to have store locator pages, which means they have multiple locations, but not so large that you cannot reach them, that they are absolutely inaccessible. So this is a really good one. Do not ignore retail chains with multiple locations. These could be significant portions of your revenue. Now, once you've built your list, you want to be using AI to personalize your message. And there are 4 strategies we've tested all 4 of these. And a bunch of others. These are the only 4 angles that work. So you either want to start by referencing how your products will match their existing product lines, right? So this works really well for theme-based stores, for boutiques. For example, let's say you're a children's clothing brand that focuses on nature-friendly clothes, right? Or clothes that are environment-friendly or breathable. You want to be reaching out to boutiques that identify with your message. And you want to reference the fact that we are 100% organic, or we are 100% nature-friendly. I don't know what you call it. And reference that for that specific boutique, because that boutique also they stock clothes that are made of bamboo, that are nature friendly, that are natural. And organic would actually apply to food, but hopefully you get the point. Then highlight your current retailers. So this is a good one. If you're already stocked in some places, you name drop your current retailers. So if you're trying to reach out to some of them and you're already at Wegmans and Kroger's, you just name drop them. And I'm going to show you an example of how we did this for one of our clients. The third strategy is to emphasize your product's unique benefits, right? So if you build something that most of your competitors don't have. Maybe you source your ingredients in a certain way, or maybe your product there's a specific component to what you do. It could be form, could be function, could be design, anything that is not easily copyable, that is unique to your brand. Reference that in the email to increase the odds of the retailer responding to you. And finally, leverage your brand or your economics. What this means is, if you already have a large social media following, maybe you have a TikTok account with millions of followers, maybe you have a total of 2 million followers across your TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Reference that, because when these retailers are talking to you, the only thing they're worried about is whether or not your product's going to move off the shelves quickly, right? And if you can prove to them that your product already has a brand following and demand, it just makes the decision much easier for the retailer. At the same time, also focus on product economics. So, if you're able to offer them higher margins, if your products take up less space, they're easy to ship, easy to handle, or if they're built for a certain type of shelf, shelves if they don't require, I don't know if your packaging is shelf friendly. Mention all of that, because these are all the questions the retailers are asking inside their head before they even choose to respond to you. So the more of these questions that you can answer, the more effective your outreach is going to be. Now, once you've personalized it, once you've come up with a strategy, or once you've built messaging for all four of these angles, you want to do it at scale. So this is one of our clients. We sent 88,000 emails to 53,000 contacts. So a first email and a follow-up, 2,600 responses, 964 positive responses. So this is close to 1,000 people asking us about requesting catalogs, requesting line sheets, asking questions about MOQs, minimum order quantities, asking questions about whether or not a product can ship to a certain location, and other stuff, right? A variety of questions. So that's close to 1,000 positive responses, and this converted into 411 sample requests. Now, there's two things to note here. One is this is massive scale. Like if a salesperson is sending 100 emails per day, it would take them 882 days to send 88,000 emails, close to 3 years actually. And you don't want to be waiting that long. Like we did this in 6 months. So this system, like just the fact that we have the infrastructure to be able to do this at scale, is 4 to 5xing your typical salesperson's output. And without this piece, the system will fail because, like I said, outreach is a game of consistency. It's a game of numbers. So you want to make sure you have the infrastructure to be able to execute on your strategy at scale. And finally, this is an example of what the output from the system is. This is what a sample request actually looks like. So hopefully you can read this. This is the original email we sent. So we've been working with stores like Wegmans and Dashmart to bring the product name to shelves across the US. We're looking for more retail partners. So a part of this email has been cut off. The next sentence talked about the product and their USP. So in the interest of client confidentiality, I'm not revealing that. But we sent this email. This retailer responded with their address. Now, again, this is not where you want to stop. You want to make sure that you get all the information you need. So you ask for the address, you ask for shipping details. You also ask for a POC so that you know they're not just out there collecting freebies, and you call the POC before you ship samples. So now they gave me the name of the POC. You have Matthew, who's the owner. This is his phone number, and this is the address. He is open to speaking to you after 4 p.m. So you call Matthew after 4 p.m. You confirm their revenue. You make sure they have enough footfall for it to be worthwhile for you to ship your products to them. And that is when you send them samples, or that is when you ship them products. While you're on the phone with Matthew, you also plant the seed for a referral, right? If it's a small store, you plant the seed for a referral because you never know. Every time you talk to them, you ship them the order, you follow up after that. If they are customers already, you want to continuously keep asking for more business or for referrals. So this is the exact system. This is how the system works. Now, a little bit about what it looks like for us to run this for you. Again, we've been doing this for 6 years now. We send 2.5 million emails every month, and we've even won awards for being one of the top 1% agencies in the world when it comes to sending personalized one-to-one emails at scale. This is very different from your regular email marketing. You're using, these are one-to-one emails sent using hundreds or thousands of separate inboxes instead of using one email address using your Klaviyo or any of these other marketing servers. And one of the biggest things here, one of the biggest factors here is deliverability. We want to make sure emails are getting delivered and you're getting replies close to a 5% reply rate. This open rate number, don't trust us. This is, we were not tracking open rates. This is just from one test campaign. So don't worry about that. So here's how we could help you and what it looks like working together, right? First off, if we were to work with you, we'd need to talk to you, understand your product, see if it is something that we would want to work with. So if you're qualified, here's what it would look like for us to work together. Step 1, you submit a 20-minute onboarding form telling us all about your product and the types of stores you'd like to see your products in. Step 2, you review and approve our strategy, the messaging and the targeting briefs. And step 3 is we run the campaign, we take care of all the 4 steps of the process for you. We send tens of thousands of emails and only send you the perfect fit retailers who are requesting for orders, samples, or catalogs. So that's the process. And we literally guarantee between 20 to 90 sample requests or orders orders from qualified retailers every month. Now, this is a big range because actual numbers would depend on your category, your pricing, your MOQs, and the kinds of retailers you're going after. So this is a broad range for you. It's intentional that this is a broad range, but we guarantee results for all of our agreements, for all of our engagements. So if this is something you'd like to explore, if you want to expand your retail distribution, you want to own your retailer relationships, and you want to do it without losing 15 to 20% in perpetuity commission to third-party platforms, and without hiring multiple sales reps paying them $60,000 to $80,000 in annual salaries, go to this link, book a call with us, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what this process is going to look like. I'm going to give you a reasonable expectation of how many sample requests you should expect to get from this. We're going to guarantee outcomes, and we can explore working together. That's all for now. Hope you have a good one.